How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Evil's Comics. Evil Mike. Got a special tonight for you. Maybe a world premiere. Maybe. I have to double check. But this is a review on Dank Comics' own comic, Denia. It was written by Daniel Kim, which is Dank Comics, and art by Juan Romera. Let me double check. Yep. It says he did it in 2008. I'm pretty sure. I remember the story he told about it. That he had wanted to do it for a while. He was struggling to find an artist. Finally, he had found an artist, and they did this comic. I want to assume it's from this. I don't even know if this is active. I didn't look into this, but hey, if you wanted to be a comic book artist or writer, it might be a good place to look. Kablam. And it says www.kablam.com. But I read this last night, and I got this in the gift pack from Dank Comics and the AOK yesterday. It was the first out of all the comics that it gave me. It was the first one that I really wanted to read, and I read it last night. And let me tell you, I was blown away. Dank, man, you undersell yourself. Yes, I'm a fan of Dank Comics, but I'm looking at this very unbiased. I read it. I can say the one negative thing I have against it is kind of the cover, because it kind of makes sense when you read the whole thing, but it kind of doesn't. Not yet, at least. Maybe if it had more issues, I think it would make more sense. Because I think this is Denia, but in the story we meet her older. But man, this was such a great comic. The art is, at some points, it's really, really good. Some parts, they looked a little rushed. But again, I remember that this was an independent artist. I don't know if this was his first choice or even if he had a choice. I will show you some. Now, this is a black and white comic. He had explained that, back in this time, there was kind of like all you could do was black and white for indie comics. But I mean, just listening to Dank, and I wanted to read it just because he's so interesting, some of his stories. And usually people that know about stories, they have stories of their own. I love stories, and guess what? I got some stories of my own. But man, it was such a great read. I'm going to start showing you art. Try and see if mine... I could say the prologue kind of starts out a little fuzzy. The first couple of pages, it was kind of like fuzzy. It was something where I had to go back and reread and make sure I caught the grasp of what they were. But basically, it's like you're following this guy. He starts out in the subway in New York, and he finally makes it to some apartment, and it's like some, I wouldn't say a lair or something like that, but maybe like a secret organization that gets together, and they look like good guys, and they start talking about a prophecy and finding this girl, and they're talking about Denia, and I think they're talking about Denia, but they're talking about this prophecy will be fulfilled, and this is kind of where it grasped me, because at first I was kind of lost, then I got to the prophecy part, and I was like, okay, I could dig that. And then then after that, it kind of mentions that there's this other organization called Mandrake or something like that, and they're on the lookout for this prophesized one or something like that, and they kind of have it's an organization type of thing. It might be like Mandrake's a person, but it could be a group as well. But they mentioned that they're supposed to be the Denia, or the chosen one, prophesized one, is supposed to have these two protectors. They even joke about it like, man, they better be like military commanders or something like that to, even try and go against what Mandrake has. And then it jumps forward to Denia's part of it, and I think it's Denia, but it jumps forward, and we follow this. I think it's Denia. We follow her, and she talks about I can, it's better. So it says, how did I get into this mess? I had that fantasy, that I thought I always knew what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be an artist, but early on I lost faith in the visual arts. Yet there was something about colors that I could never let go of. So after college, I decided to study chromotherapy, or the use of colors for physical therapy. And with that whole, like, paragraph right there, kind of sets up the whole rest of the comic, because at this point we kind of follow her, and she's like, kind of going through her daily life. She goes to a store. We meet this character Muhammad, and he works at the store. And there's more into him later. But then we jump into her, and she's working at the Crayola factory, and it's like, and she's some kind of like, she's like the scientist that develops new colors, and we meet this other guy that's that works with her, and he's just like the guy that comes up with the names to her colors. And this is where the whole like chromotherapy thing comes up, because she's been working on something. She's on the edge of it. She can feel it, but she just doesn't know what. And then it gets to this point in the comic when she like has the Bazinga moment or something, the Yahtzee, and she discovers what she was missing. And with her use of colors, like by taking this color and pigmentations from colors, she's able to like. It reminds me of like smell-o-vision from the 80s, that concept that you could smell through the TV or something like that. So basically it kind of like, it shows her testing it out with this other scientist, and she shows him this color, and it instantly makes him vomit. I think the first time it makes him sick, and then he looks at it again and it like literally makes him vomit. And it does show later on that was like the purpose of that color, like that's exactly what that mix of colors does. Is that it has the potential of making you sick, but then it's like the comic starts, because she's into this chromotherapy, and I think she was going about it like you could use chromotherapy as like some sort of therapy, like you could cure with it, you could you can make people sick with it. It reminds me of kind of like if you've ever seen Dune, and the concept that voice was stronger than just a voice, that you could say a word and kill with that word, because you could impact like a power with that word. So it's kind of like that concept that she's taken these colors and somehow figured out through this code of the right color combinations, where you could just show somebody a color and sorry, but it just makes you sick or makes you fall asleep, or there could be tons of combinations. So it kind of at this point it kind of goes through, and like as she's figuring this out, and like they kind of jump forward, and she goes through her daily life, her figuring out this and what she should do, and she goes back to her job, and she's like, no, I can't have this at a job, but kind of like I can't have this fall into the wrong hands kind of thing. And like basically like her and the other lab guy, it's kind of like funny how she convinces him to do it. But like in the scene right here, she kind of convinces him to like, and it's down here, but to like destroy all the computers that they were on, and she like downloads all the evidence of her findings, and then she ends up like, they end up destroying all the computers and all the evidence from the Crayola factory or whatever, and they're doing it together, and at one point she ends up ditching her partner, and like she takes off and everything, and it kind of makes sense because she's got this power, she's the one that came up with it, and it kind of goes into that, like he was already showing signs that he would use it in the wrong way, and it's kind of, you kind of get that feeling. She takes off and she's like, no man, I can't have this in the wrong hands. So it shows her, I guess, like she goes to her friend's house, and she's kind of like at first I thought it was like she was like in hiding, but I don't think at that point she's really in hiding. She just, I guess, went over there to like chill out or anything. That's what I thought at first. But it does show her when she's like done chilling at her friend's house, and it shows her going home, and it kind of has the first like real part of action. But it's like you get to her apartment, and like goons are going through her apartment and stuff, and I assume these are the Mandrakes, goons, and they're looking for this probably this creation. They might not even know it exists yet, but Mandrake sent them for some reason to find her. So at this point she's on the run, and at the very end of the comic we do get to run into this other guy, and it's kind of like if you jump back, it kind of reminds me of the prologue, But we do run into what seems like her first protector, and then like a lot of the end is action. It's like where this guy jumps in and he's protecting her, and he's actually doing like parkour and all this other stuff. So he's actually like a badass protector. But at that point, it's kind of them on the run. They're trying to they're juking and jiving these mandrake people. He's jumping through rooftops. She's running through different alleys, and there's like some close calls and stuff like that. And basically it kind of ends on a major like cliffhanger, and it sets up the next issue like perfectly. I mean, the pacing and everything, the character development, like you really, you really do follow Denia. Like after and like I said, you get this sense of certain things just from Daniel's writing, and I mean, all I can say, it was really good. Honestly, I don't know how you didn't get this crowdfunded or kickstarted or something. And honestly, after y'all see this, y'all need to somehow find a copy. It is supposedly at www.deniathecomic.com, but after reading this, I instantly wanted to read the issue number 2. I mean, this would have made my top 10 list number 1 easily any day of the week. It was such a good read. And especially if I could imagine like real artists drawing, it would be amazing. Daniel, it was such a good read. I want to know so much more about it. I did go to that website, and for me on Android, it did not work. I don't know if it's like maybe I gotta be on a real PC or something. I do want to read issue 2 so bad. If we need to get it made, let's make that happen. The art is really, really good, especially like knowing that it's a beginner guide, knowing that you didn't really have any real connection. He wasn't like a friend or a family member. I think you had paid him. Ooh. And there's another thing I wanted to point out from that AOK. I didn't even realize that he had signed this for me. Thank you so much, Dan. I mean, it was just a great read. I pretty much, there's a couple things I didn't spoil about it, but pretty much in a nutshell, that's the main gist of everything. It was just overall really, really good. The only thing I can say that I didn't like was, I mean, I would like there to be more issues for the cover to connect, but I mean, when do covers, most covers don't make sense to the main story. Number 2, that the www.denia.com didn't work, that I couldn't read the second one. Other than that, man, this is like a 10 out of 10. A 10 out of 10. Some things in this world just don't make sense to me. Like, how did this not get big? How did Scout or anybody not pick this up? I don't get this. Dank, it was a really good comic. If y'all can, if he's got more copies, get in touch with him. He's at Dank Comics. I mentioned him enough. Enough said. If y'all like this video, like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell for my notifications. I've got another couple videos planned quickly. And just thank y'all to everybody. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. To everybody that's alone out there, know that you're not alone. That I'm alone, but we're here together. You don't. We're never alone. We got each other. And if you ever get that alone, you reach out to me. I'll be there for anybody. Hey, but I'm evil. Y'all be good.